Hello, everyone. My name is Nicole Conte, and I'm the host of the Sweet Success podcast. I am joined by Erica Wilson and Taylar Posey. Erica is a therapist at the Olive Branch Counseling Center, and Taylar is a life coach at 4031 Life Coaching and Consulting. And we're right here in Alabaster, Alabama, and we talk all things mental health, anything related to your mental health. We're going to cover it, aren't we, girls?
Oh, yeah, we are.
So today we are going to be talking about the comparison game. I know we all deal with that in one form or another, right?
That's right.
So there's a lot of different ways I think we can compare to. Social media plays a huge part, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What are some other ways that we're comparing that you're seeing?
For me, I don't necessarily compare myself to social media. I almost feel like I'm just super old now and don't really care. But I compare myself to how I used to be. That's the biggest thing for me. So comparing myself to my former self. So a few years ago, like even before I had my second son, I ran 3 half marathons. I would run all the time, was in pretty good shape. And then now I just feel like I'm so tired. I don't have as much energy. You know, over the years, your metabolism slows down. After the second kid, I gained more weight than I wanted to. So a lot of my comparisons come from, man, I used to be more energetic. I used to be able to run a lot. Like I've done 3 half marathons, but now all I want to do when I go home is just rest. Like the free time that I have now, I just want to lay down. Mm-hmm. So there are days where I'm okay with that, but then there are days where I'm like, dang, I want to get back to how I used to be. So I think it's either way, I think it's a dangerous game to play because, you know, whether you're comparing yourself to a friend or to social media or how you used to be, it's still, you know, kind of negative self-talk, and it's very hard to get yourself out of that spot.
Mm-hmm. I think for me as a child, if I look back at young Erica, without even knowing it was the comparison game, would be more so with my twin sister. We were identical. We never were competitive towards each other. But when you're a twin, you are often not identified as an individual. And so we would often be compared by other people, if that makes sense. So what I was doing compared to what she was doing, or how I did in school compared to how she was doing in school. It was always just a game that was just there that we didn't even know about, even into like college life. And that's when we really became our own person. And that's really hard to understand, especially if you're not an identical twin. But that from childhood, I can say, has been something. The comparison game isn't something that has just started now. It just now has a label because, you know, society and teenagers are something. It's something they do often. As an adult, you know, Taylar talks about comparing herself to her past self. For me and for other people too, I wonder if a lot of people compare themselves to who they could be or who they want to be versus like in their career or being competitive in actions of, well, I can achieve this goal if I do X, Y, and Z. Mm-hmm. But are they reaching burnout? Are they happy comparing themselves to themselves, really?
Right, yeah.
If that makes any sense.
It does. And a lot of what I deal with in life coaching, and I'm sure Erica does too, but a lot of what I do in life coaching is setting goals. So we want to set goals to be able to help people like reach their greatest potential, and I hold them accountable to those goals. But a lot of it is, yes, comparing themselves to what they would like to do, or, for example, you know, I'm 30 years old and all of my friends are married with kids. So comparing themselves to what maybe their friends are doing, but then again, setting goals to maybe reach what they feel like they should be reaching or what they should have reached at a certain point in their life.
Right. You know, you talking about being a twin, and from a perspective of a mother of twin girls, now my twins are fraternal, and this could also be mothers with multiple children. I feel like I compare them quite a bit. Now, obviously with my twins, even though they're not identical, people still compare them like constantly, right? One's taller, one's whatever. But as a mother, comparing our children too can be a dangerous game, and really kind of getting that in their heads too, right?
Very dangerous.
Yeah.
I think I'll speak to my clients, and I'll throw it off to you for what you've seen is in parenting, it's really hard to keep what we want to say or what we're thinking in our own head, especially like how we grew up, or if things, our own issues that we may be dealing with. For me, a lot of clients have parents that will compare them to what other girls are doing, or what other guys are doing. You know, so-and-so is on every sport team, and you are choosing to come home and read a book, which again is fine.
Right.
But to that kid, it's why am I not good enough to my parent? You know, that it may feel as though they're not good enough if they're being compared to another kid who's an athlete when the child wants to come home and read. It just may be the hobby that they've chosen.
Yeah.
Or athletes and boys, especially. If they are really good at what they're doing in all sports, in any athletic that they've chosen, but the parent thinks that they should be doing more or practicing more or doing more in the sport that they're in, if that's embedded into the child's head, I don't, no matter if they're 8 or 16, 17, 18, they are always going to have that what if thought in the back of their mind of, what if I'm not doing the best I can? What if I should be like for me, what if I should be like Taylar? She's a cheerleader. She's this, she's that. And I'm choosing to read a book. Like, that's the only thing I like. If parents can start to think more about what their child truly enjoys and not looking around them as to what everybody else is doing, and not voicing their opinion to their child about how they feel. Parents can have opinions, but a lot of times if we think first about what we say, how is this going to affect my child and their thought patterns?
That's right. Yeah. I'll even just speak on a personal level. I have 2 boys. They're right at about 5 years apart, but they're both very athletic. My youngest son loves soccer, whereas my oldest one really loves baseball and football. So I really encouraged my youngest to stick with soccer because that would kind of be like his own thing. Now, he started playing baseball last fall, and we're going to sign him up for the spring. But we really made a conscious effort to say, like, hey, do you really want to play baseball? And he does. He loves it. But I really was okay with him doing soccer. We never pushed anything else because your big brother doesn't do soccer. This can just be your thing. So he still loves it, but he wants to do baseball, which is totally fine. But I'll be honest, I've even had to say to my oldest at times, sometimes my youngest son, who's 6, listens better than the oldest one does. And there are times where I've said, how is it your little brother can listen better than you do? So I think a lot of that, like you said, is somewhat normal. You're going to say things like that here and there. We should be mindful of it. Truth be told, I don't think it phases my oldest son that I say his, little brother is a better listener. He doesn't care. But in reality, I do have to even watch myself because having kids of the same gender, both of them being boys and both of them playing sports, I'm sure the comparisons will come over the years as they get older. Even having boys and girls, we know sometimes boys are way more laid back. They can be a little lazier. Girls, a lot of times, are more on top of things. They're more organized. So especially having, siblings that are opposite genders, those comparisons can really be heavy because sometimes the girl is going to be more studious. She's going to do things more in a timely manner, and the boy doesn't. And that's okay. That's just how they're wired. I mean, but I think we do have to be mindful, like you said, of playing the comparison game, even with siblings, because it can make them have a negative self-image, if they're internalizing the things that they're hearing.
Yeah.
And that can be the beginning of
something
the whole
for a long
game,
time,
right?
Right?
Something.
Yeah. So let's talk about ways to combat comparison because, I mean, let's be honest, social media we're only getting more and more connected. We are seeing everything and everyone and everything they do. So what are some ways to combat comparing ourselves, whether it be past selves, social media, to someone else, or comparing our kids? Like, how can we combat that?
The very first thing we have to do is truly, truly fall in love with ourselves and who we are as an individual. Social media can be used to build people up, can be used to encourage people. Taylar and I do it on our platforms for social media for our businesses every day. We post something to encourage other people. And a lot of people get good out of that. However, if we were to compare ourselves to every therapist page or every life coach page, we could beat ourselves up about it. But that's not what it's supposed to be about. It's supposed to be about what's on my heart, what's on her heart, and what we want to post. And what we think that our viewers want to see and read. And that should be it. So it really has to start with truly loving yourself from the inside out and being okay with it. As adults, that can come easier because, even an older generation than us, they're wiser than us. They've been there. They've lived in a world without digital devices. They've lived in a world without social media. People younger than us, like maybe even just a generation below us, all they've known. I mean, all of us at this table know a time without a cell phone and social media.
Yes.
But the people below us do not. No. They do not know a life without social media or a cell phone. And social media is very dangerous for that generation because people are posting their best self on social media. And we know that. You can have fun on social media, but you are not going to often see someone posting daily about their struggles with anxiety or depression or their postpartum or I have 6 kids and life is really terrible right now or I'm struggling in my marriage right now because everybody's working so hard and we have...
And sometimes people do post it and I don't want to know
and that's too much. Right. And then we judge on that too. So it's about, you have to compromise with what we look at on social media, what you choose to look at on social media. You can block things that are triggering to you, teenagers, families, parents, adults. You can set your social media to be where it is just positive. But if you are only going to focus on the negative parts of social media or the parts that you believe so badly are true, and this is where our teenagers fall in, is that they are looking at things that just are not true. They are not reality. And I'm often working with clients to remind them that they are beautiful, that their true inner self is who they are, and that's who they have to fall in love with first, not the person that they post on social media, the image of themselves on social media, or the other image that they're looking at on the other side, because it's just not real. We all want to look good, whatever picture we post, but it's just not reality. And it's just a very scary game that teenagers play, which is where body image comes in. Yep. Negative body image comes in for social media or the comparison game at all. Their marriage is better than mine. Their house is bigger than mine. Yeah. Their job is better. Like everything is negative.
Now I do look at vacation spots and wish I was there.
I was
I
thinking
could not
about
even
vacations.
lie about that. Yeah.
I know.
So I follow Rosemary Beach Rosemary Beach is a place in Florida on Instagram, and it pops up every day, and I really do want to go there again.
Do you need to block that?
No, I don't.
Is this a positive thing for you?
It is positive. It's relaxing to my mind.
There you go.
But I do look at it, and I'm like, dang, I wish I was there.
You know what, though? I about 2 years ago, I guess, I struggle a lot with body image, and I started following accounts that were body positive.
Yes.
And it has changed my whole mindset, just following these people that they are in love with themselves. And
no matter how they look.
That's encouraging.
Yeah, that is. It really is.
So not only just blocking the things that can be triggering to you, but following those accounts to put yourself in the place that you do want to be mentally, right?
Yep, that's right.
Yeah, falling in love with yourself. And it's a process.
Yes, it takes a long time.
Yeah.
Like I'm almost 40 years old, and there are days where I still look at myself and I'm like, this is not cute. But, I mean, it is. I have to fall in love with myself.
Right.
One of the things that I do with my clients, especially my teenage clients, we have, Erica and I at the office, we have this jar that has little marbles in it. And I make them, I give them an empty jar and then a jar full of marbles. And each time they have to take one marble and put it in the empty jar, but they have to say something positive about themselves. So at the end, I pretty much say, like, look at all of the things that you filled your empty jar up with. So when you are having a down day or when you don't feel at your best, remember today. Remember all of the things that you filled your jar up with that are true about yourself. So I've done that before, and it's not something that you have to broadcast and tell people about, but if you're listening, like, that is something, just take some time and write down. Surely there's at least one thing that you love about yourself. It might not be something physical, but maybe it's, your kindness, or maybe it's how you handle situations. But you can make a short list or a long list of the things that you love. You don't have to share it with the world. You don't have to post it on social media. But keep that so that when you are feeling low, you can look back at that to remind yourself, like, dang, okay, I'm not perfect, but
I'm pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good.
All right.
Yeah.
And what about making a list about what you like about yourself?
Yeah.
Like going ahead and doing that and showing what is good about you and who you are. And if you have to detox from social media, then just take yourself off. See how long you can be off. If 3 days is good, and then you've done 3 days. But it is very difficult for some people to be off of social media, and it is because it's addictive.
Right.
It's me.
It's me. I'm the problem. It's me.
I think we all can relate to that.
But I do
hard.
think what you said a little bit ago, Erica, is true, that I think we've gotten a little bit older. We know what life was like without social media. I'm okay looking at somebody with a 6-pack and being like, well, that's nice, and moving on. Whereas some of these younger kids that I see at school and they come to my office, that's all they know. They don't know anything other than looking at other people, and they didn't have a time in their life to be able to really just learn to love themselves without the social media like we once did.
Yeah.
And it's very triggering for them, and it's very hard for them to separate the reality as opposed to what is fake.
Yeah, it's definitely a reality that they must be told and taught, even adults too, versus a complete fantasy world that we enmesh ourselves into when we get into this comparison game of whatever it is that we're comparing ourselves to. Again, like I mentioned, comparing myself to who I would like to be, in my business. I would like to grow my business. I would like to maybe get a psychiatrist to come in and work for me. I would like this. But at some point, I have to sit and think, I'm okay with where I'm at right now, and be still in that. So it's not always the comparison game isn't always about looks,
Right.
But oftentimes it is, and oftentimes it's related to what was seen on social media. But for some, and to our adults that are listening, it could be something completely different. Like I said, your marriage, your cars, your home.
For sure.
Your family. My family doesn't act like that. My 5-year-old gets in trouble at preschool all the time. We were talking about our kids. Taylor's kids are great athletes. I have a 5-year-old who
You leave that baby alone.
plays soccer and hates running.
But he's so cute, and he gives me hugs I just love him.
Okay.
So I
He's
mean,
precious.
I could be that mom,
Sure.
because we live in a society where I have a boy who is supposed to be an athlete, And right now, he doesn't love it.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with it. But yeah, his legs are tired, you know?
Mine are too. I get it.
Right. So
I don't
mean,
like to run.
I'm not going to he's 5. I'm not going to worry about the fact that he isn't a baseball star right now. He isn't a soccer player right now. I'm going to sit and I'm just going to let him do what he wants when or if he chooses sports. We're trying baseball this year. Again,
there we go.
Third time's a charm. We are trying it, but I'm not going to compare myself to other boy moms that have been doing it since they were 2. And he's going to live his best life, and that's okay with me.
He's precious, and you just leave him alone.
And I think that's what we have to keep telling ourselves. Keep telling ourselves the good, not focusing on the bad, and just keep working at it, right? And I think that's the key. We're gonna have to keep working at it.
It's all a process. Nothing, and I know we've said this in previous episodes. None of this is just a one night fix all. Like you can come see me or Erica once, and that's great. But unless you go home and you do the work, and you put in the things that we've talked about and put them into practice and continue, seeing a therapist or a life coach. I mean, it's not going to just get better overnight. It is a process.
Yeah, absolutely.
And fall in love with yourself. Don't forget.
Falling in love.
Yeah. Do it.
This is twice you've sang, and I love it.
She's in a singing mood.
I love it. But you're right. Falling in love with ourselves.
It's going to help us. It will help us look past what we think we're missing out on.
Love it. All right. Ladies, thank you so much, as always.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You have been listening to the Sweet Success Podcast with licensed therapist Erica Wilson and certified life coach Taylar Posey. If you have questions or topics you'd like to have addressed on an upcoming podcast, please message Erica on Facebook at the Olive Branch Counseling Center or Taylar on Facebook at 4031 Life Coaching and Consulting. Spell out 4031. For more information on Erica Wilson and all that she offers, visit theolivebranchcounselingcenter.com. And for more information about Taylar Posey and her services, visit 4031.org. Spell out 4031. Thanks for listening, and we look forward to our next time together. Please subscribe to this podcast on your favorite podcast platform.
This podcast is produced by yourpodcastnow.com. Let us produce a podcast for you.